I am so ready for summer, and these 20 plus DIYs are so perfect for it. Hello everyone, welcome back to DIY Beauty on Purpose. My name is Leonette and let's get started. Alright, for this DIY, I am going to use these tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the entire packet. I'm going to start gathering them in little groups of 3. We're going to make a sailboat. And this sailboat is going to have, a sailboat shape. So I'm going to start by making, like I said, bundles of 3, and I'm going to have 4 of them. That's going to be my top layer. Then I'm going to make another 3 little bundles of 3 and place it on top of that, and then 2 more bundles of 3 and place it on top of that. So it's going to have more like a V shape or a bowl shape, I guess. But in the end, we're going to flip it over and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm just using hot glue and it was so sufficient. They are very light and they did not come apart. The key here is to make sure that the blocks are as straight and even as possible. Now, not all the blocks are made equal, so some of them were not perfect. I never look for perfection. It's never my goal, but in this case, I really wanted to be as close as possible because I want it to be very even. Once I had all the bundles ready, I then hot glue them to each other, crisscrossing them, making sure that one is facing one way, the other one's facing the other. And as you can tell, I made one with 4 bundles, 2 with 3, and then 1 with 2, and that's kind of what it looks like. Before I start hot gluing them to each other, I am going to drill a hole on the large one because we will be putting a little dowel stick there, and that's going to be where the sail is going to be at. So this is what it's looking like. So I flipped it over. Now I'm just going to add some hot glue in the little hole I did. And it's actually a skewer stick, a bamboo skewer stick. It's not a dowel. And so it fits right in there. And again, I'm just going to secure it a little bit more with hot glue, but it's not going to be heavy. So a little bit went a long way. And then I gave everything 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. Now it's time to make the sails. So I'm going to use this leftover piece of canvas from a canvas from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to cut off the parts that are bent. And then I am going to start cutting out, what I think it's going to be a sail. So of course they're going to have like a little triangle shape, but it's going to be a little bit of an angle. So only one side is going to be angled and then the other one's going to be straight. And then I'm going to make a similar one, but smaller. And I'm going to give each of them 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I decided to make stripes on the larger sail, so I'm just marking about an inch apart from each other. That way I know when to make or where to make the lines. Now I did mess up a little bit on the lines, but in the end it turned out fine. Again, you have to learn to be forgiven when you're doing DIYs like this. So we just go as we go, but I think in the end I love the way it turned out. I cut out a very small triangle and I'm going to paint it red using Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the farmhouse red. This is going to be a little red flag that's going to be on the top of the sails. I wanted to make this a little bit more customized, and I'm going to write the date here or the year that I made this, and then I'm going to write Lake Erie because of course we're here in northern Ohio and that's the closest body of water that we have. And now it's time to put everything together. I'm going to hot glue the little flag first, and then I am going to make holes on the sails because we are going to attach them with jute twine. At first, I was going to hot glue them, and then I thought, how cute would it be if I just attach them with some jute twine? So that's what I did. I'm using my crocodile here to make the holes. And guys, I do have an Amazon store, which is linked down below. A lot of the tools, the paints, and supplies that I use on my videos, I do have in my Amazon store. So check it out if you're interested. The link is down in the description box. So like I said, I'm just going to start making or start attaching it using some jute twine. To keep the sails nice and straight and without flapping back and forth, I did hot glue one of those large popsicle sticks or crafting sticks to the back. And that's it for this one, guys. I think it turned out so beautiful. I love the nautical kind of coastal farmhouse look that it has, and I think it's just stunning. Alright, so staying in the nautical kind of theme here, we are going to make a ship wheel. So I'm going to start with this foam wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and we're also going to be using a dowel from Walmart. Here I'm just kind of marking where I want that dowel to go through because we want to make this look very authentic. So I am going to start drilling using this spade blade right through it very carefully because this is foam and I do not want to crack it. It turned out fine in the end, but I was so scared. So you're going to start seeing me here using my dowel back and forth, putting it in, taking it out. And this is just to make sure that I am drilling the holes where I need them to be. So there I am, just really marking. I just want them to be as straight as possible. I'm going to use this pool noodle and I'm just going to cut about 2 inches from one side. This is going to be the center of my wheel. So I am going to place it in the center of the wheel here in just a second, you'll see. And then I'm going to start marking where I need to cut the dowels. But again, I want to make sure that everything is as even as possible. So I don't want to cut before, or I don't want to cut them and then not know where the center is. I hope that's making sense. So you'll see here as I'm doing it. So I am just cutting one and then placing the other one and then cutting another one and placing the other one. And it took me a while, but I think again it was so worth it. Once I had everything cut and measured, I did sand them down just a little bit to make sure that they are smooth. And now it's time to place everything together. Now the wonderful thing about this is I'm going to use hot glue to put everything together, and foam and hot glue kind of melt the foam. So the bond was very strong. It was not going anywhere whatsoever. So once again, I am going to hold that center there steady. That way it's not going to move on me. So I want it to be as centered as possible to the wheel. And then I added all kinds of glue on all the seams, everywhere with foam met, with wood. I just wanted to make sure it was nicely secure. And my initial thought was to spray paint it because it would be very difficult to paint between all these dowels and everything. But I didn't realize that the pool noodle was absorbing this paint like paper. So even though I did give it a very good heavy first coat, I did end up having to retouch it using some Rust-Oleum Chalkman and the linen white. And here I'm just showing you where it's at. And like I said, that pool noodle there in the center was really absorbing that paint. So I really needed to retouch it. And I did. And it turned out actually really, really good. Now I'm going to use the pool noodle here, and I am going to trace a circle. This is just so that I can cover that the top portion of the little center part of the wheel. That way it doesn't have that hole. Once I hot glued that in place, I decided to distress the wheel just a little bit, and I'm just going to use a permanent marker and just stripe it here, distressing it. I think this really made the wheel come to life. This is where everything came together and it just added dimension, and it was just beautiful. As an added touch, I wanted to add some jute twine, so I'm just going to wrap it around several times, every other space in between the dowels. And once I did that, we're all done. And I think this one turned out, again, so beautiful. I love how sturdy this DIY is, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Alright, so for this next project here, I am going to do several DIYs because this is going to be showing you how I styled my front porch in summer. This was actually of 2019, but I think it turned out so beautiful I wanted to include it. So I thrifted this magazine rack at the Goodwill. So I am using my spray painter here to spray everything, as well as this chair that it was dark brown and I wanted to have it white, and the stool as well. I'm going to use my palm sander to distress everything. Now, I didn't use chalk paint. I used a regular latex paint, so distressing it is not as easy. It does chip off a little bit, but I was okay with that because it's going to be on the porch, and I didn't mind if it looked weathered, almost like naturally weathered. I decided to add a stencil to the magazine rack, so I got this on Amazon, and I'm just going to stencil it using some regular latex paint, and that's it. I'm not going to do it very perfectly because I want it to look distressed and match the entire look. And then once that was that, I did seal it so it didn't run with the weather. I went inside and then I decided to create a welcome sign, and this is just a 1x10 that I got at the hardware store, and I'm just sanding it down just so that it's smooth, and then I'm going to give it 2 coats of regular household latex white paint. I got the welcome stencils on Amazon as well. Actually, not Amazon. I think it was Essential Stencil. I'm going to have them linked down below so you can take a look at them. And it's really easy. You just put them down, tape them, and then that's it. You stencil it. Again, I use regular latex black paint. So to have everything match and kind of be cohesive, I did distress the letters just a little bit so it has a little bit of a weathered look, and I think that turned out so beautiful. I did seal everything with a top coat. I believe it was polyacrylic that I used at the time. And so it's such an easy project, and I actually have another video where I used the same one and I flipped it over and I made another one for fall with different colors on the opposite side. So really cool project to have. And to add a little bit more character, I just decided to wrap around some thicker jute twine here on the top and tie it on the back. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes here. This is me cleaning my porch. Guys, again, I live near Lake Erie and all these bugs and spiders are always all around. So when I am done with winter and it's time to clean the porch, I'm like dreading it because it's so gross. I had spiders jumping on me, bugs jumping on me. Look how bad that is. Ugh, so gross. But it's so worth it because then at the end, everything just looks so clean and fresh. For the theme or kind of color that I'm going with, everything is going to be white and teal, and I'm kind of sticking with some green plants, maybe some color here and there, but I did decide to stay in the green family with the teal there. And so I'm just planting here some flowers that I got at the garden center, and I love doing this. I love working with dirt. I think it's so therapeutic, and yeah, I can't wait to do it again. And so now it's time to put everything together, and this is the part that I really enjoy, which is designing and putting things kind of where they go and then moving them again. And so I'm just going to let you watch as I place things. So I'm just about done. If you follow me, you know that I like things very simple. This is no different. I keep things in the simple side. And how beautiful is this porch? Look at the before. It was so dreary, of course, for winter, but I think it brightened it up for summer. This is by far one of my favorite transformations on my porch. And at the end here, I'm going to show you the one I did last year for a different ideas and different inspiration for you. For this next DIY, we're going to be more in the 4th of July theme here. I'm going to take this Dollar Tree Tag USA sign. Even though it's very beautiful as is, I do want to make it a little bit more customized. So I'm going to remove the little stars that it come with, but I'm going to save them because I'm going to use them in a little bit. I sanded down the back of it, or what's going to be the back, just so that I didn't have glitter all over the place, and then painted the back using Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white and give it 2 coats. I'm going to dry brush a little bit of this aged gray chalk paint just to give it a little bit more of a farmhouse look. I'm going to take this USA hanging sign. I'm going to remove it from the burlap ribbon. Then I'm going to sand off any glitter that may be on it. And then I'm going to paint the A blue, the U red, and then the S white. going to distress the letters just a little bit. So I'm going to use aged gray. Actually, no, I think this is the country gray by Rust-Oleum chalk paint. And then again, I'm just brushing it with a little chippy brush. And then on the A and the U, I'm going to distress it the same way, but using white paint. And now it's time to kind of figure out where I want the letters to be. I want them to be a little bit scattered, so I think I'm just going to kind of play around with it and then hot glue them in place. I want to add some greenery to the tag, so I'm going to use these leaves from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off a few of the branches, and then I'm going to start making like a little swag for the top of it. After I hot glue those in place, I'm going to take some of that same burlap ribbon that we had earlier, and I'm going to make a very simple bow and then hot glue it in place in between the greenery. And then I'm going to take some of the excess ribbon and I'm just going to hot glue it in the back, and that's where we can hang it from. And that's it for this one. I think it was already very pretty, very beautiful. However, I just wanted to customize it, and I think it looked beautiful in my 4th of July decor. Sticking here with the Independence Day decor, I'm going to take this star from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I wanted my decorations all to match, so I'm going to distress it as well using the country gray and the chippy brush, and I want to stick with keeping it in a dry brush and all facing the same angle. I'm going to take some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to trim all the edges using hot glue. The rope was on the thicker side, so what I did was I just trimmed the little pointy edges that I couldn't get the rope to be that pointy, so I just trimmed it and it was fine. I'm going to take a grapevine wreath that I thrifted several months ago, and I'm just going to place the star right in the center, and then I'm going to take a Dollar Tree scarf, and I am going to make it, well, I'm going to take some greenery and add it to the bottom of the star, and then I'm going to take a Dollar Tree scarf with the red and white, oh my gosh, red, white, and blue, there you go, theme, and I'm going to make a very loose bow and attach it to the bottom of the greenery. I took this welcome sign that came from a different decor from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to take just the little welcome portion of it, and I'm going to hot glue it right in the center of the star. And with that, we'll be done with this one. And again, what a beautiful 4th of July wreath, very rustic kind of style, and I think it looked beautiful. For this next DIY, I am going to reuse these little blocks that I made for Christmas. I painted them. This is a 4x4, and I cut them to be, large, medium, and small. And I painted them white and distressed them for Christmas. Now for today, we are going to turn them into some 4th of July decor. So I am going to take the larger one and going to start placing some painter's tape because we're going to make some stripes and keep it in the kind of American flag theme here.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know a single.
This is once again a Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the farmhouse red, and I'm just going to paint the white portion of it.
That I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time,
for the medium-sized one, we are going to paint it in the coastal blue chalk paint once again, and I'm just going to dab it just to give it a little bit more of a distressed kind of look. And then remember those stars that I removed from the previous project, then this is where I'm going to place them on this one here in a little bit. I think it turned out so cute.
girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to.
Although it looked really good, the stripes, I wanted to distress it a little bit, and I think you'll agree with me. I'm going again with a farmhouse style, and I think just dressing them just gave them that extra level of that style, and I think I really popped it out.
I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to. There's so much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me.
So now I'm going to find the center of each block. The way I do that is I cross lines from corner to corner, and where the lines meet, that's where the center of the block is. And then I'm going to drill a hole with a large drill bit that fits the rope that we're going to place right in the center. That's because we're creating little firecrackers. And the little block I kept white, and then I'm going to wrap around some jute twine on all the blocks and make a very simple knot in the front.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know a single thing that I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, nah.
Here are the stars that I removed from earlier, and I'm just going to hot glue into the front of the blue one.
Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh, oh, nah, nah. I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to.
And now to finish it off, it's time to add that rope. So I'm just going to hot glue it in place, make a cut, and then that's it. These turned out so adorable. I still have them, and I love the way they look. They have that farmhouse, rustic, kind of festive look, and I love it.
Much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh, oh, nah, nah. God, I'm sick of this waiting. You got me going crazy tonight. So why don't you come on over and be my somebody to love? Somebody to love, somebody to love, somebody. I need somebody. I need somebody. Give me somebody, give me somebody.
For this next DIY, we're going to take this piece of scrap paneling board. It's like plywood almost, but it's very thin. And I'm going to give it one coat of this paint, which is by Behr Premium in the Mossy Bench. This color is stunning, and the coverage is absolutely amazing. I love, love, love it. I still have this can, actually. It goes a long way, that's why. And again, only one coat was needed, and I'm just going to cover the whole thing. Now I'm going to take this other paint. I honestly don't remember the name. It's pretty old, as you can tell. But it's a brighter teal blue. And I just want to add a little bit of brightness and a little bit of dimension and distressing it. So we're creating a poolside sign. And I want this to look like it's been outside. It's been weathered. And so that's the look that I'm kind of going for. So I'm going to start dry brushing several colors here. Also some white, just to, again, add a little bit of that weathered look. Now I'm going to mark here where I want to start tracing some lines because I want this board to look like it's planked. So we're going to make a full plank here. So I'm going to first mark and then trace line from mark to mark. And then I am going to use my blade knife and just start scoring it back and forth until that board starts to really cut into there. But I don't want to go all the way through, of course. I just want to score it enough where it looks like it's planked. Once I had it scored where I wanted, now I'm going to take this flat screwdriver here and I'm just going to start really going in there, really digging in to make that line even wider and deeper. And for an added level of distress and weathered look, I'm going to distress the whole board using my palm sander and 220 grit sandpaper. When I sanded it down, it removed a lot of the white, so I decided to add more of that white in a dry brush. And that way, just I wanted to have a little bit more of it, so I'm just going to add it here again. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the close-up so you can kind of see all these layers of color, distress. I mean, this board looks like it's truly been outdoors, distressing and being weathered by the elements. And then using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase, "Life is better poolside." And I honestly don't remember what font I used, but anyways, I did use my Cricut and I believe it was part of their fonts. So I'm just going to actually use it as a stencil, and I am going to start stenciling it using Rust-Oleum chalk pen and the linen white. And now I'm going to drill a couple holes on the top. That way I can thread some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and we'll be done. Now at the end, I'm going to show you everything that I did for this DIY because it's all going to be like a little mini project that I did for my backyard area. So I'll show you at the end what it looks like. For this next DIY, I am going to take this Dollar Tree plastic tray. You can find it in the party section. And I'm just going to spray paint it using Rust-Oleum flat spray paint. And I'm just going to cover it completely. And I gave it several coats, several light coats until it was fully covered. Now I'm going to be very brave here and drill a couple of holes on each side, each handle. Now this is plastic, so I was running the risk of cracking it, but it did not. I was letting the drill do the work. I was not adding any pressure at all, just because I'm going to be threading some rope here at the end. Now, do you see that scarf, that bluish flower kind of scarf? That's what I wanted to originally do as handles, but then I changed my mind and I did the rope. But I don't know. Sometimes I change my mind and it's okay. So I'm just going to use some painter tape here and I'm going to create some stripes and give it a couple of coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the coastal blue. Very lightly, I sanded down the blue. That way it just has a little bit more toned down blue, a little bit of a coastal farmhouse look on it. And here you can see that I changed the handles to the rope. And this is just a top coat by Rust-Oleum. It's just to protect it from the elements or any spilled water or juice or whatever we may serve. And then of course the sign, because it's going to be outdoors and I want it to stay as original, I guess, as possible. For the next DIY, oh, and I will show you again how everything looks at the end. For this next DIY, I'm going to take this towel that I got at home. It's super large. It's truly a beach poolside towel. And I'm going to make some pillows out of it. So I'm going to cut it into 4 sections and then we are going to stuff it using some pillow stuffing from Walmart. All right, so now we are going to sew the edges, and this is going to be a very simple sewing part. I'm not a huge sewer, guys. I wish I was, but I'm not. But this is very simple. I'm just gonna sew all the edges and leave one side a little bit open so we can stuff it. And then after I was done stuffing it with pillow stuffing, I'm just going to fold it in, creating a nice smooth seam, and then close it up by sewing it. And once again, I'm going to show you at the end what it turned out. So for this quick DIY, I'm going to take these plastic Dollar Tree wine glasses. I cut out the words, or the phrase, I guess, good times and tan lines. It was part of a like tank top that I had at one point, and I just liked the phrase. So I was like, hey, I'm going to use that for this. So I just placed it on here using some permanent vinyl. Now we're moving outside. I'm going to take this, again, this Rust-Oleum flat white, and I'm going to freshen up this umbrella stand. We've had it for so many years. It is so heavy duty. That's me taking out cobwebs. So I'm going to give it a couple coats. Now, I was running out of paint, so I was hoping I'd had enough, and I did. I ended up having enough, actually, for the other umbrella stand that we had. But again, I'm just going to give it several coats until it's fully covered, and I think it did, beautiful work. I think it freshened it up, and I love the way it turned out. And speaking of the way it turned out, I'm going to put everything together now here poolside. Some chairs that we got at, I think it was Lowe's. And there are the pillows. Look how cute this look. And then a little table that I already had. I'm going to show you how I made that one. And then this little tray that, I love it. It's so nautical, so beautiful. And of course, the wine glasses are going to go right on top. And then the sign that I made, it's going to go right in front of it for now, because I did ended up hanging it, but just for purposes of showing you, I did put it in front of it. I purchased this umbrella, I believe it was at home as well, and I wanted to stick with that blue and white stripes, and I'm going to place it right in the umbrella stand, freshly painted, and I love the feel of it. But yeah, you're going to see here in a minute how everything looked, and everything actually held up very beautifully. I love the quality of the work and how everything looked just beautiful. All right, for this next DIY, I am going to give my planters a little refresher here. So this is now the next year. So that one, the one you saw before was in 2019, but I wanted to include them all in here because I wanted to make sure that there was plenty of inspiration for everyone. So this is that green teal that you saw earlier. This is the same paint, and I am going to give this planter as well as several of them a refresher and giving them a couple of coats, and it just looked so summery and so beautiful. And then I'm going to start planting some flowers, and again, my therapeutic moment here with playing with dirt. This time I decided to add, this is in the backyard, some colorful flowers just to add some color.
I have seen that face more than a million times, like a million times. I have seen that, baby. I can treat you right and you can prove me wrong. Turn around, be gone, turn around now, baby. You think you're special like the others, something to discover. Think you're little fun, but I have seen that face more than a million times. Think I know by now that I can be the one, if that is what I want. Your days are gone, you've had your little fun. And now I'll make your dreams come true, if that is what I want to do with you. I'm only here for a little fun, here for what dreams are made of. I'm only here for a little fun. Oh, yeah, I can be the one, if that is what I want. Your days are gone, you've had your little fun, your little fun. You think you're the coolest by a million.
Now, if you noticed when I did the poolside DIYs and little makeover, this flower pot was already redone. But I wanted to show you here how I did it. So basically, same thing. I used the same color, brighten it up. They were just so dull. So I think when we first got them, they looked nicer, but I just wanted to add some bright colors. So I did both of my huge pots here the same. I added extra soil, and then I'm just going to plant some beautiful flowers, and these are all great for sunlight because boy, our pool area has tons of sunlight, probably about like 12 plus hours a day.
Baddest boy in town, but you know what, baby? Easy come and easy go is fine by me. Suits me perfectly, so goodbye now, baby. You're nothing special like the other, nothing to discover, just a little fun. 'Cause I have seen that face more than a million.
Now you're going to think I'm being repetitive here, but I promise I'm not. I'm just showing you because I'm going to use one of the empty pots. These are the same size as the one you just saw, but this is an empty extra one we had, and I'm going to give it the same color refresh here because I'm going to create a side table for my deck.
Think I know by now that I can be the one, if that is what I want. Your days are gone, you've had your little fun. And now
At the hardware store, you can find these wood rounds, and they're not very expensive at all. And this is what I'm going to use to create my side table. I took it home and I sealed it using a top coat. That way it was going to be safe from the elements and it's going to last me. However, it did not. So I don't know what I did wrong, if I used the wrong top coat, but it didn't work. So I think next time I would just stain it and see if that would work better. But nonetheless, I'm just going to show you all the process so you see what I did.
if that is what I want to do with you. I'm only here for a little fun, here for what dreams are made of. I'm only here for a little fun. Oh, yeah, I can be the one, if that is what I want. Your days are gone, you've had your little fun. You've had your little fun.
Then I'm going to take the painted pot and I'm going to place it right on top. And then I'm going to screw it in from the inside onto the wood round.
It's done. I might as well have little fun. Little fun.
Now I'm going to take this lounge chair cushion that I got at the Dollar General, and I believe it was either $10 or $15, and I'm going to make some little pillows for my sitting area on my deck. Now, guys, I am so nervous here because I just want to make sure that it doesn't come apart. I wasn't sure where to cut. In the end, it worked out, but this is me here trying to figure it out and thinking of what I'm doing. So I'm going to start cutting, and again, cutting them to where I have 4 different pillows. The stuffing that was inside this cushion, I have never seen before. It looked scary, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I've never seen pillow stuffing. I don't know if it's because it's meant to be outdoors, but I was kind of like afraid to touch it. That was how ugly it was. Now, isn't it a little weird? I was like kind of freaking out. I'm thinking, what on earth? So anyways, here I am just removing some excess fabric, and I ended up just cutting all of these, sewing them just like I did the pillows earlier with the towel, and I created the 4 pillows, and it worked out fine. And then after I sealed everything and sewed everything, look how cute they turned out. Oh, I still have them too. And then to finish it off, I did do a little bit of cleaning out some dirt and leaves and all kinds of stuff that were back here. I found these little button hanging hooks at the Dollar General. I'm going to place them right at the end of our deck. That way we can hang towels and beach bags, and it'll just be so cute to have. Then I'm going to put everything together on my deck and call it a day. I think it's a great refresher. Did not spend a lot of money at all. And we still have all these items that we can use for years to come. All right, for this next DIY, I'm going to take this little side table that actually my aunt found on the side of the road to be thrown in the garbage. And she picked it up for me, and I just thought, what a cool little table to have on my deck. So I cleaned it off really well, and now I'm going to give it 2 coats of that same teal color that you saw me use earlier. I wanted this table to have a very nautical summer look. So I had this wood shape from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to trace it right on the left bottom corner. And then I filled it in using some regular household latex white paint. Using my palm sander and a 220 grit sandpaper, I distressed the entire table, and then I sealed it using some polyacrylic. And here's a little before view of what the table looked like, and then an after, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I love it. I actually wanted to sell it, and then I ended up keeping it and putting it on my deck, and it added just an extra space to place cups, plates, and it's beautiful. For this next DIY, I am going to take this 1x6 and I am going to make some cute little drawer planters. And oh my gosh, I'm going to make 3 of them and you're going to see how cute they are. So here you're going to see me measure and cutting using my miter saw. And I'm going to have, I think it's like a large one, a medium, and a small one. For the large box, I use 1x6. For the medium size box, I use a 1x4. And for the smaller one, I use one 1x4 and 4 little 1x3s. And this is me here just dry fitting everything before I start nailing it. And I'm going to use brad nails and my brad nail gun. And then I decided to sand everything just to make sure everything is smooth and no splinters are on any of them. I am going to give them a base coat of this darker stain. This is Briar Smoke by Varathane. This is only to give it a darker tone underneath because I will be distressing these boxes, but I want the distress, like the bottom, to pop through in a darker tone instead of the light wood tone. So that's just what I'm doing here. And I did stain all 3 of them and let it fully dry. I am now going to drill a hole right in the center of one of the smaller sides, I guess. And these are going to look like drawers. So I'm just using drill bits, and that way I can thread through a screw that would fit the knobs. The knobs that I'm using came from an old dresser that I flipped a long time ago, and I kept them, and I thought one day I'll use them. And here we are, we're using them. What a great way to use them. And now it's time to add some colors, some fun colors. These are all going to be by Dixie Belle. This is a green called Kutsu, and it's beautiful. Then I'm going to use a pink, and I don't remember the name of the pink one or the yellow one, but I will have them down in the description box. But look how beautiful that green is. Just stunning. And as mentioned earlier, I am going to be distressing them, and I'm just using a 220 grit sandpaper. And that's it, guys. I added some faux greenery from the Dollar Tree, and look how beautiful these little drawer planter boxes look. You can actually put real plants in them. You can drill extra holes if you want it to drain water, but I just love the way they turned out. So farmhouse, rustic, but yet so colorful. I love them. For this next DIY, I am going to make a little sign here for my outdoor pool area. I'm going to take this 1x8, give it 2 coats of regular household latex paint, and I'm going to also use that Dollar Tree thermostat that you saw there. Now I'm going to take these letters from the Dollar Tree. These are little letter decals. You can find them for $1, and I'm going to use them, but I'm actually going to use the stencil part of it, so the skeleton of it. So the words or the letters that I've already used, and if not, I'm going to remove the letter. So basically, I'm going to use these as a stencil and not the decal per se. And I am going to spell out the word summer. I am going to distress the board a little bit using the charcoal tone chalk paint by Rust-Oleum and my chippy brush. So here we are. Now I am going to start placing everything, kind of dry placing it to make sure it's going to fit well. I am going to screw in the thermostat because I want to make sure that is where I want it to be before I start stenciling the letters. I am going to use the M twice, so that's why you see there I didn't have an extra M. So I'm going to use it twice.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it chance. You will never regret the things.
Some of the letters were cut very close to the edge, so I wanted to give me a little bit more room for any mistakes. So that's why I'm adding some painter's tape here and there just to make sure that if I go over the stencil, it's not going to get on the white paint. I'm going to use some of those same colors that you saw me using earlier with the planter boxes. And I'm going to use an additional, more of a teal color. Now this is the part where it backfired on me. I thought the idea of using the letters as stencils was a great idea, and it was. However, they stuck. They stuck really good, and I think the mistake was that I let the paint dry before I removed them. So I lived and learned. I'm again showing you my mistakes so you don't make them again. But again, the idea was great. It's just I should have removed it earlier.
Sleeping in the back of a van, roaming in the wilderness. We don't ever need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of our lungs, dancing by the lakeside. Gonna do it while we're young. In a moment it will all be gone. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when
And then I also realized that I skipped a color, so I have to paint over the E after I painted it, so that made it worse. But again, in the end, it turned out fine, but this is the stuff we go through, right? So here's where things get icky. So it actually turned out that no, I didn't let it dry, but they were sticking, guys. I was so mad. I had a mess going on, but it worked out in the end, and I fixed it, but you live and learn.
someday we will look back and our hearts will be whole again. I want to remember all that happened to us. 'Cause
All right, so now that I have the summer done, I'm just going to freehand the word hello and use a permanent marker to color them. And then I'm going to seal everything using, I think it was polyacrylic again, just so that the words and everything did not bleed. And I'm just going to drill a couple of holes on the top. I'm going to thread these little eye hooks right on it and then use some nautical rope to hang it. And I think it turned out so, so beautiful. All right, guys, so moving along, this next DIY is that little table I showed you earlier in my poolside makeover. I'm going to E6000 two of these planters from the Dollar Tree. They're going to be bottom to bottom, and I'm going to put a lot of E6000, and then I'm going to let it dry overnight.
Stay with me now till the morning light. Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away.
I'm also going to E6000 this clear tray from the Dollar Tree right on top.
Before you make up your mind that I know where to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that
The next day, once everything was hardened, I am going to give it 2 coats of regular household latex white paint.
just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning light. Till the morning light. Till the morning light, yeah. Till the morning light. Till the morning light. Till the morning light, yeah.
I'm going to add some nautical rope in the center. I'm just going to hot glue it in place, and I'm just going to wrap it around a few times so that it is about an inch below the middle section and an inch above it.
Maybe I'm just too weak, maybe I'm just afraid of being alone. Well, I don't care, 'cause right now I feel the love that we said we would burn.
And that's it, guys. This one turned out so beautiful. I actually used it the entire summer until my niece stepped on it and broke it. But it's okay. Obviously, it's good for like small plants, maybe a glass of water, some juice, maybe a plate. But of course, you don't want anybody standing on it. So she learned her lesson. She was fine. But I wish I still had it because it was so cute.
Oh, I know that you feel it too. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that
All right, guys. So I promised you there would be another porch makeover. So here it is. I'm not going to show you the entire cleaning process. You've seen the dirty. So we're going to skip right through to the DIYs. I'm going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes here as I am purchasing some flowers at the garden center. And yeah, it's a little bit of scarce still. I went kind of early, but there's still some good selections. So I picked some colorful ones, some grassy ones, and I think the choices that I made were really good for what I wanted to see. So for the first actual DIY, I'm going to take this thrifted little like watering can, I guess. It's full, it's not real. So I'm just going to just give it a little bit more of a custom look. I'm going to put some painter's tape around it, and I'm going to paint using some regular household white latex paint, a stripe on it.
I have seen that face more than a million times, like a million times. I have seen that, baby. I can treat you right and you can prove me wrong. Turn around, be gone. Turn around now, baby. You think you're special like the others, something to discover. Think you're little fun, but I have seen that face more than a million times.
This other metal container I also thrifted, and it has beautiful texture. I'm also going to give it 2 coats of that same latex white paint. Once again, I'm going to spray everything with a top coat. That way it's not going to run with the elements or as I water the plants. And I'm going to start planting now. I'm going to also be reusing. You're going to see a lot of the things that I did earlier. I reuse a lot of my decor because, you know, you can't update everything. You can't buy everything. But yeah, I'm just, again, doing my therapeutic dirt playing here and start planting some of the plants that I got. All right, so now it's time to put everything together. Again, my favorite parts and just starting to place here and there, starting to see where I want things. And of course, the plants are baby plants. They're not grown yet. So at this point, everything looks small and tiny. There's that sign I made earlier. But yeah, I think again, just a brighten, just a fresh new porch look, and I just love the way it turned out. I did decide at the very last minute to make a wreath for the door. I realized, wait a minute, I don't have a wreath. So I did grab this grapevine wreath form that I got at the thrift store, and I'm just going to add some of these grassy faux greenery from Dollar Tree and some of these pink little plastic flowers that I got on Amazon, and I'm going to make a very simple wreath form for my door. And then I'm just going to add some nautical rope to hang it from, and that's it. Very simple, very quick, but I think it looks and complements everything very well. I got this floor mat at home, and I think it is beautiful. I placed it right underneath my welcome mat. And once again, I'm going to show you a little before look at my porch and then the final result. And I think, again, is so fresh looking, so simple, but I love it. I think it's very welcoming. And yeah, I just love the simplicity of it. But this is it for today, guys. I know there's a lot of DIYs and a lot of stuff going on in this video, but I hope something inspired you today. I hope it inspires you to maybe add some color or maybe DIY your own stuff, maybe go thrifting for some items. Whatever it is, I hope it inspires you. And thank you so much for watching. If you're visiting for the first time, I hope you consider subscribing and joining our YouTube family. I post video 3 times a week with tons of DIY inspiration. So I hope you come back. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. And I'm going to have a playlist here with tons more of inspiration for you. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.